What else you got for me? Huh? Fuck!
I've always had a positive memory of Collateral. It's 14 years old as well, which is much longer than I would have thought, and since I hadn't seen it in a good while, I thought for my next review I'd see if those memories still proved to be the same. And yes, they did. Collateral, I feel, is quite underrated. Not many of my friends have seen or even heard of it before, and those that have done don't even recall it all that well. Boasting a leading duo of both Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx, this stylish thriller follows Max, a local cab driver who finds himself hostage to a contract killer who's running him from stop to stop and from hit to hit. A very simple premise, but it's executed to the point. Most people associate Tom Cruise as the star, the main hero to watch a film for, which, to be fair, he is the majority of the time, but here, Collateral shows us that Cruise is perfectly capable of flipping that coin and should be playing the villain more often. Vincent is a cold-blooded, calm and efficient hitman who bears no thoughts or regrets to his actions. His sociopathic character is well countered by Max, an LA cab driver with his own dreams of one day starting his own limo company. The film spends plenty of time focusing on the pair, and with good effect. Once Vincent quite literally drops a body on his unsuspecting driver, the race against the clock begins because Vincent has one night and 5 bodies to drop before his contract is complete. Poor Max, if only he let Vincent get in that following cab at the start, but no, it wasn't to be. Max did try at first to attempt to get away, but he soon realised Vincent was not one to be messed with because the more he tried to do good, the more people just ended up getting killed. Hey, those ones that robbed him were fair enough, but when the police officers pulled him over after noticing that slight misfortune on his windshield, he wasn't going to take that chance. From what he'd seen, Vincent would have taken them both out without batting an eye, so all he could do was sit down, drive from spot to spot, and hope that when the night was over, he would see the following day. So whilst all that was happening, not too far behind them was Mark Ruffalo's Detective Fanning. He was slowly putting the pieces together, and after a few bodies had dropped, realised the next intended targets. He didn't believe Max was the killer, even with those steel-nosed FBI agents continuing to stress otherwise, and after catching up with Max at the club, he almost got him away to safety, but Vincent was in the way. It was a sudden death for a character who we spent quite a good length of time with, but that suddenness is what made his death impactful, as there was no time to linger on that moment as we were ushered right back into the cab and away from the scene. The other notable character we meet is Annie, and it was a long introduction for her character, but an important one. It established her significance when, you guessed it, Vincent's hit list came down to just one last person, and it just happened to be her. She was the 5th and final target, but thanks to Max warning her and getting there just before Vincent pulled the trigger, the last game of cat and mouse ensued with Vincent chasing them down to complete his job. Intuition is probably the word I'd use in saying how the heck Annie and Max were found on the MTA, and with the aim right on their heels and once they could go no further, Max stood forth and sidestepped Vincent's shots, and when the lights came back on, it was Vincent who had suffered the soon-to-be fatal shot. I loved the ending of this film. There was a sly hint and foreshadowing of it near the beginning, so once all 3 of them were on that MTA, I just had that niggling feeling the film would end with Vincent's lifeless body travelling the MTA for hours before anybody happened to notice. An effective and smart ending.
Take anybody on notice.
My overall verdict for Collateral is a strong 8 out of 10. The film has aged very well, and again, I am still shocked that it is 14 years old. It really doesn't feel like it. As it is a sleek and stylish thriller that one wouldn't hesitate to recommend. With a small but stellar cast, the plaudits quite rightly should be pointed towards the 2 main stars, as well as the director, Michael Mann. A top-notch job. The film even surprises you with more familiar faces than you first realise. Javier Bardem was of course Felix, an actor who is in his element as the villain, and Jason Statham appears very briefly in the opening scene of the film. Add to that the core cast of Mark Ruffalo, Jada Pinkett Smith, Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise, you see how deep the talent is that we have on show. Now, I have to take some time to talk about what I feel is one of the most influential aspects of the film. The sound. It was a stroke of genius. The music choices are spot on. The ambience and all of it really adds to the flow of the film, in particular when we see those panning top-down shots of LA. Each of them really did add an extra layer as we were changing from scene to scene. For me, it was a true triumph. Again, as the main focus and villain of the film, it's just not something you generally associate Tom Cruise with. He showed his class front and centre because aside from being intimidating, his long conversations with Max, which arced across the whole film in general, added depth to his mysterious hitman. He was tremendous all the way through, and I have to say the shootout at the club was my favourite scene. He was absolutely brutal. That leg break hurt to look at, and he took no prisoners when it came to getting to his target. But even though he was probably going to kill Max at the end of the night if his past was anything to go by, he did save him from Felix's henchmen. Another highlight, even if he bluffed his way through it, was Max's masquerade when he was pretending to be Vincent. He got rid of that list, throwing it into the road to get destroyed, so as punishment for that, he was the one to meet his contract giver to ask ever so nicely to have that target list again. Javier Bardem wasn't in this for long, but since he is a master of his craft at playing the bad guy, you worried for Max straight away when you first laid eyes on him. Another thing to say about Collateral that worked wonders was its pacing. Never rushing from scene to scene, the film overall had a very effective interlinking conversation which lasted the entire course of the film. From a certain point of view, it is just one man trying to get through the night, having one long, lone discussion with his passenger in the back seat who was aiming down the barrel of his gun. It is an excellent thriller, filled to the brim with talent, smart dialogue and an impacting sound design. The film deserves to be praised, and it's one that I like to re-watch every now and then. How about you? What do you all think of 2004's Collateral? What is your favourite moment from the film? And how would you feel about seeing Cruise in the villain role more often? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed the review. And I'll see you on the next one.